President Bola TINUBU on Tuesday said that those involved in kidnappings must be treated as terrorists. The president made the comments at the Ramadan dinner with members of the federal judiciary led by Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwola. TINUBU condemned the reprehensible acts perpetrated by kidnappers across the country, stating that those who resort to kidnapping children are cowards and incapable of confronting the might of the Nigerian armed forces.
Kidnappers are terrorists and don't rule against us. That's the way we practice them. That is the way we must treat them. And that is a fact that we are facing currently, unless we take very strong action against these people. They become cowardly, they have been degraded, they look for soft targets, they go to backyard of local schools, kidnap children and create disaffection. We must treat them equally as terrorists in order to really get rid of them. And I promise you, we're going to get rid of them.
All right, President Bola TINUBU there, almost reoccurring his wife's statement, I believe, last week, when she called for capital punishment for terrorists. I mean, bandits have been termed terrorists for a while, so I don't think this is something new. But during that meeting, like I said earlier, the Chief Justice of Nigeria was part of that dinner, and there's this picture that is circulating on social media where the Chief Justice is seen giving the president a handshake there, like almost bowing to him. I mean, people are asking, if it's the Chief Justice of the US, can you see that type of courtesy? But I mean, that's the rhetoric out there. But we're Nigerians, Dr. Abati, isn't that right? You would see, I mean, TINUBU is 72 years old, right, isn't he? I'm asking you. I told you I was coming to you. I told you that earlier.
The president's birthday is on Friday.
Right.
And
President TINUBU is 72 years old, right?
Well, that's his.
Answer the question.
That's the birthday he's celebrating on Friday.
What do you mean by that? Answer the question, Dr. Abati.
That's what is on INEC form. That's his age. According to INEC, he will be 72. And as for the Chief Justice,
right.
Just bowing slightly to him. I mean, wait a moment. I mean, that was an iftar event. The president had invited judicial officers to come and breakfast with him. So the CJN bowing to him with respect. I won't make any big deal out of it. It's not as if his lordship was in a courtroom. He was in another man's premises for iftar. So simple courtesy,
right?
And in any case, even if he did that, according to Yoruba culture, which you yourself alluded to,
this is why I asked.
The CJN is younger than the president.
Oh, he is younger than the president.
He's younger.
So that was the
he's younger.
Yeah,
obviously, president. So in Yoruba culture, it doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Even when people are 1 year older than you. Okay. After all, when we were in secondary school, they will tell you 365 days is not a joke, so there's nothing about that.
Right.
But the more important thing is the president saying that, bandits are terrorists.
Right.
People who instill fear, people who collect ransom, people who impose hardship on other people within the community, they deserve to be treated as terrorists.
Yes.
And there is a law to that effect, the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Act, which stipulates penalties. And the reason, I think the statement by the president is important is that we have been in the same country where terrorists were being given Ashebi, under the principle that they will be rehabilitated and reintegrated into society. In fact, I think at a point, government was even saying some of the repentants, so they said, bandits and terrorists will be integrated into the Nigerian army. So President TINUBU is signaling that he is not going in that direction.
Yeah.
a criminal is a criminal, and the law must take its course. I think on that score we agree with him.
Absolutely, they are complete cowards. Kidnapping children, I mean, you cannot be more cowardly than that. Well, the governor of Zamfara State, Dauda Lawal, who met with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Tuesday, raised the alarm on the escalating banditry in his state, urging immediate intervention from the federal government to quell the violence. Speaking to State House correspondents, the governor expressed concern over the recent surge in attacks and stressed the urgency of the situation.
If nothing is done in Zamfara, I don't think we'll be able to solve the situation in the entire northern Nigeria. As you know, most of the guys or the girls or the people that were kidnapped ended up in Zamfara State, and that is not good for us. And therefore, we're doing everything to change the narratives. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here today, and I complained to Mr. President, and I have his assurance that something drastic will be done as quickly as possible to take care of the situation.
Oh, this is reassuring. We all know that Zamfara State is the hotbed for a hotspot for terrorists. Meanwhile, the Nigerian army has reportedly released more than 200 suspects who had been detained over Boko Haram terrorist activities. The military said the suspects had been cleared of links to the Boko Haram sect. The detainees were said to have been handed over to the Borno state government on Tuesday for proper reintegration into the society. The development comes in the wake of the controversy surrounding the release of 137 school children abducted in Kaduna. Obviously, you will know that this will raise a lot of eyebrows, but let me just take one tweet and then we'll discuss the story. This is from Victor, who wrote, summary: 200 plus school children were abducted. Lesson: absence of government. 200 plus school children were conditionally released. Lesson: absence of principles. 200 Boko Haram detainees were released shortly after. Lesson: absence of sovereignty and authority. Vimbai, let me come to you on this story. As you can see here, people will try to connect the two because, I mean, it just basically happened. I tried to reach out to the Borno state government, and it does appear that these 200 people were not linked to Boko Haram. They've been put, they've been screened, and they are going to be reintegrated into the society. But of course, Nigerians will raise that alarm.
Yeah, listen, it's optics, and we always talk about this.
Absolutely.
The optics, reading the room. Could the timing had been right? Listen, if they're innocent, they're innocent. We do hope that they've been through all the interrogations. What led them to being accosted in the first place? What led them to being considered suspects? Yeah. But on those children, yesterday we did have a little bit of a debate concerning whether they'd been reunited with their parents. And the reports are that the parents are now coming out and saying over 60 hours later, they still have not seen their children. So this is concerning because these children have gone through the worst type of trauma. We're parading them to score points, PR points, yet nobody is thinking about their psychological well-being. Imagine seeing all these strange faces, being surrounded by cameras, being surrounded by all these things. All you want to do is see your parents. Right. So this is important. Let's leave, PR out of this. Let's be human. Let's be human, which is my same sentiment with regards to these people. If they're innocent, the 200 people, great, then they do deserve their freedom. Yes. However, I hope that we're able to get all the information required out of them.
You're absolutely right. We did talk about that, and I did tell you that I reached out to people in the government house, and they did promise that the children had met with their parents. Well, the Kaduna state government has moved the released Kuriga school children to a facility where they will undergo psychosocial therapy and counseling before being handed over to their parents. The children were taken to the center shortly after they met with Governor Uba Sani at the government house. The arrangement, which is said to be under the supervision of the Ministry of Human Services and Social Development and the Ministry of Health, is to ensure that the rescued children are in good mental health and psychological condition before they will reunite with their families. So that's the conversation. The children are in that center with the governor, and they did say that the parents are allowed to visit the children. I mean, that's the information that I have, and that's what we're going with. Well, in the meantime...
But that's not what Daily Trust is reporting.
Well, Daily Trust has their sources, and a journalist is as good as their sources, correct? I mean, that's the information that we have. Well, in the meantime, the Bishop of Catholic Diocese of Sokoto Matthew Hassan Kuka, has asked the federal government to question those who claim close ties with bandits and to be decisive in dealing with insecurity ravaging the northern region of the country. The bishop made the comments on the sidelines of the 25th anniversary of Madonna University.
It's clear that the federal government at the highest level knows what is going on, at least the intelligence community has an idea. There are key Nigerians who are saying quite openly that they know more than we think the rest of us know. And I think that it's a business of the federal government to find out those who claim to know where the bandits are and those who are collaborating and cooperating with the bandits. I mean, it's the greatest humiliation of our nation. We cannot, the psychological impact on this on our children is unacceptable. So for me, it's something that the security agencies, in collaboration with those that they say, the people who have said quite openly, okay, that they know what is going on. And I think the federal government has the capacity to go after those people.
The outspoken bishop, he's always hit the right notes. I mean, we have seen these people that, say that they know where the bandits are, the hideouts are. It's important that he's calling for a thorough interrogation of these bandits. I know, Rufai, you want to speak, but should I take this before you speak? In the meantime, tukur Mamu, the publisher of Desert Herald, has given the federal government a 7-day ultimatum to retract allegations of terrorism financing against him. The federal government last week named Mamu as one of the suspects involved in terrorism financing in the country. Mamu was listed among 15 entities, including 9 individuals and 6 bureau de change operators and firms. In a letter through his lawyers addressed to the Attorney General of the Federation, Mamu said no competent court of law has found him guilty of terrorism financing, adding that upon expiration of the ultimatum, he will seek redress in court. I mean, he's out there. We did see that story last week about these people and their terrorism financing.
What tukur Mamu is saying is that they had no right to release him as a terrorist, financier since their case was still in court. But in all fairness to the NFIU, when journalists pressed them further, representatives of the NFIU said they didn't know how that list got out. So there's been a denial of that list of terrorism financing. So the question now should be, who released that list in the first place?
That's the question.
Because that thing also came out to the press and all of that. Secondly, as regards, I'd like to just go through a sort of story. As regards, what's it called? What's happening?
Reporting from the Daily Trust.
The Daily Trust. With due respect, we salute Ubasani for what he's been able to do. But he should in turn not play politics with the process. The truth is, the parents have a right to be able to meet their children. Daily Trust is reporting that, the Kogoro students are yet to reunite with their families. Yes. Reuniting with their family also means meeting their families. If they have set their eyes on their children. Because, see, Oji, let me even now make my case effectively. The last time this happened, I think it was the Kankara boy, the parents were there and the reuniting happened. And you could see the joy. In fact, that was part of the optics. As they were releasing the children, they were going to meet their parents. So we should also look at that as a possibility of making this, process quicker for them. Because we just want them, because also that psychosocial support they are saying, the healing will be faster when these children see some of their parents quicker.
Right. Because I think Daily Trust is reporting perfectly. They are saying students yet to reunite with their family, meeting their parents, because we did cover it live here on Sunday, where the parents were at the government house, even waiting for the children. So we saw that story as well.
And also, the other sidebar I want to talk about this Daily Trust story is this: that bandit kingpin Yellow Jambros behind the abduction. Yes. So the question is, that story, why have they not gone after this kingpin Yellow Jambros? Is it when he does another one again? Because now we can just quickly name. Like the question I asked the other day is that why is it that we don't go after them? And, for those that are quick to release, what is it called, people, and they say, okay, they were apprehended wrong. If they were innocent, fine. No. But we have also seen that the government dilly-dallying are not making up their mind on how they're going to fight bandits. And that's what Kuka was speaking, that those that have been, because apart from the meeting the likes of Sheikh Gumi has talked about, we've interviewed Sheikh Gumi here increasingly, and we have heard his views about saying let's make reparations to these bandits. see, all of us have suffered underdevelopment in this country. Let's not even go to my village here. Right. All of us have suffered some level of underdevelopment.
Right.
Let's not make that as a case to now bolster this bank. But none of us have carried guns like these bandits and going to crime and criminal. Dr. Bat.
Number one, what's his name? Bishop Matthew Azan Kuka spoke last weekend.
Yes.
It was after he spoke that Sheikh Gumi was invited for conversation. So the question is, was the federal government listening to Bishop Kuka? That's one. Number two, the 200 persons that they say the military will release because they are innocent. Well, a man is innocent until proven guilty under the laws of Nigeria.
Absolutely.
But what government should not do is to demonize people, parade people, that you will now come back later and say these people are innocent. I mean, in other crimes, you do your investigation first before you establish a case. Not that you will have advertised people as potential terrorists, and then you will come back and say, oh, they have not done anything wrong. So there's a problem with procedure. Number three, the issue about tukur mamu is that there's a lot of conviction, by media trial in this country. And that's the lesson of it. What he's saying is that he's been projected, by sanctions committee. That was a committee that purportedly issued a list. And he's also in court, but no court of law has convicted him. If a man has not been convicted, you don't go about, labeling him. So this is just a caution, both for journalists and also for government officials.
All right. We'll take another.